Mars is not a distant dream anymore. It is mapped in high resolution. Its seasons are tracked. Its dust storms are modeled. We know its valleys. We know its polar caps. We know where water once flowed. And yet, the gap between robotic exploration and human survival is immense. When people say it is impossible for humans to reach Mars, they are compressing thousands of interconnected problems into a single word. Because the challenge is not one barrier. It is layers of vulnerability stacked together. Start with launch. To send humans to Mars, we must first escape Earth's gravity well, a feat that already demands enormous energy. A Mars mission spacecraft would be far heavier than anything currently assembled for deep space. Life support systems, radiation shielding, habitat modules, propulsion stages, fuel reserves, landing systems, ascent vehicles, all must leave Earth intact. Each launch introduces risk. Each added kilogram compounds complexity. Even assembling the vehicle in orbit requires multiple heavy-lift launches and precise docking operations. A single failure can delay a mission by years. Then comes transit. 6 to 9 months inside a confined spacecraft is not simply uncomfortable, it is physiologically destabilizing. Microgravity weakens bone density at a rate of roughly 1% per month without aggressive countermeasures. Muscle atrophy progresses despite daily exercise. Fluids shift toward the head, increasing intracranial pressure and sometimes altering vision permanently. Artificial gravity, via rotating habitats, could mitigate these effects, but such systems add engineering difficulty and mass. We have never operated a rotating deep space vessel for months. Meanwhile, radiation continues. Galactic cosmic rays penetrate hulls and tissue alike. Unlike solar flares, they cannot be predicted or avoided. They are constant. High-energy iron nuclei, heavy ions traveling near light speed, strike atoms inside the body, creating cascades of secondary particles. Each impact can damage DNA strands in ways that are difficult for cells to repair. Shielding thick enough to block most cosmic rays would require impractical amounts of material. So we compromise. We accept elevated lifetime cancer risk. We accept uncertainty. Then there is the psychological dimension. Mars crews will experience profound isolation. During transit, Earth is unreachable in real time. A message sent home may not receive a response for nearly an hour round trip. There is no immediate reassurance, no quick consultation. In crisis, astronauts must rely entirely on themselves. Small conflicts can amplify in confined spaces. Group cohesion must withstand stress, monotony, and danger. We train astronauts rigorously for resilience, but no training has replicated the finality of interplanetary distance. When Mars finally fills the viewport, the most dangerous phase begins. Entry, descent, and landing on Mars is often described as 7 minutes of terror. For robotic missions, that phrase is literal. For humans, it will be extended and more complex. A human-rated Mars lander must carry far more mass than any robotic probe. It must protect fragile life inside. It must land near pre-positioned infrastructure with precision measured in meters. The atmosphere is too thin to slow heavy spacecraft effectively, yet thick enough to generate immense heat during entry. Parachutes alone are insufficient. Retropropulsion must ignite at supersonic speeds. We have tested elements of this, but never at human scale. A failure during descent is unrecoverable. Assume they land safely. The surface introduces a new set of constraints. Mars gravity, about 1/3 of Earth's, may reduce muscle strain compared to microgravity, but its long-term effects are unknown. No human has lived in partial gravity for months or years. Does bone loss slow? Does cardiovascular function adapt normally? Do children conceive or develop differently? We do not know. Then there is dust. Martian dust is fine, abrasive, and electrostatically clingy. Infiltrates seals and machinery. Apollo astronauts on the Moon experienced equipment degradation and respiratory irritation from lunar dust. Martian dust storms can last weeks, even months. Dust obscures solar panels, reducing power generation. Power is life. Habitats must maintain internal pressure, temperature, and air composition. Carbon dioxide must be removed. Oxygen must be generated. Water must be recycled with extreme efficiency. On Earth, failure in a building's life support is an inconvenience. On Mars is catastrophic. Food production presents another threshold. Carrying all required food for a multi-year mission is possible, but heavy. Growing food locally reduces resupply needs, yet agriculture on Mars demands controlled environments, artificial lighting, regulated humidity, sterile soil substitutes. Mars regolith contains perchlorates that are toxic to humans and potentially disruptive to plant growth. We must either treat the soil or avoid it entirely. And after months or years on Mars, the crew must leave. This requires an ascent vehicle waiting on the surface, fueled and operational. One widely discussed strategy involves manufacturing methane fuel on Mars using atmospheric carbon dioxide and hydrogen brought from Earth, a process called the Sabatier reaction. It is elegant chemistry. It has not yet been demonstrated at the scale required for a human return mission. If the fuel plant fails, there is no backup plan. Mars does not offer rescue. The window to return home opens only every 26 months. Miss it, and the crew must survive another cycle. The timeline stretches. Costs escalate. Risk accumulates. Economically, a human Mars mission is among the most expensive endeavors humanity could undertake. Sustaining political and public support across decades through changing administrations and shifting priorities is as critical as solving engineering problems. Technological impossibility is not the barrier. Institutional endurance may be. Yet every obstacle described has a solution pathway. Radiation shielding can be improved. Propulsion can become faster. Closed-loop life support systems can approach near-total recycling efficiency. Surface habitats can be buried under regolith for shielding. Robotics can pre-deploy supplies years in advance. Nothing violates physics. What makes Mars feel impossible is that every solution must work simultaneously. There is no margin for complacency, no single heroic fix. Mars is a systems problem of extraordinary scale. And beyond the technical challenges lies a philosophical one. Why go? Mars offers no breathable air, no blue oceans, no immediate economic return. It offers knowledge, inspiration, and perhaps long-term survival insurance for humanity. Some argue that the resources required would be better spent solving problems on Earth. Others argue that pushing outward strengthens civilization, technologically and psychologically. Reaching Mars is not simply about planting a flag. It is about crossing a boundary in human capability. It is about becoming a species that can survive beyond its birthplace. Is it impossible for humans to reach Mars? No, but it is impossible to underestimate the cost. Impossible to eliminate danger. Impossible to rely on luck. Mars will demand precision in engineering, resilience in biology, and patience in governance. It will test whether we can coordinate across generations for a goal whose payoff may not be immediate. The first human footprint on Mars will not represent conquest. It will represent persistence, a declaration that impossibility was never about distance, but about whether we were willing to solve every problem required to survive it.